Well, hello, folks. Jeffrey Darty, the Christian Whistleblower. Welcome back to the channel. Got another nice chunk of revelation for you here. And this is a really good chunk of revelation. I think you're going to enjoy it. I think you're going to have your life changed by having viewed this. And I appreciate those of you that are helping, and I appreciate those of you that are wanting to help more, and those of you that are going to help more, and those of you that are even coming on board, and I appreciate that very much. So this is a tough one for me, and I know sometimes you probably think, oh, I'm not even going to send this comment to Jeff because he'll never read it, or he doesn't read it, he doesn't care what we think, blah blah blah. Well, this revelation came directly out of I believe it was a comment on the channel, and I've got to start remembering people's names. This was a gentleman. And he said, Jeff, take a look at the Elohim as it relates to this and that and the other. And I kind of thought, and then I was, meditating, and something popped in my mind. You know what? You need to think about it because, ouch, I got a really nice ingrown fingernail here. But anyway, we digress. And I think it's because I'm doing so much work on the computer. Look at that. Can you see it? It's a good one. Yeah, it's a good one, huh? But anyway, sorry about that. I never really felt comfortable with the word Elohim, and I couldn't put my finger on it. I mean, it was the best word for, it is just a word for the gods of the Bible, inexpressible ones, right? But for some reason, it never set right to me. It just didn't feel quite right. And, sometimes things don't feel quite right, but you don't know enough to say why they don't feel quite right. And we're not above being superstitious, even, when we are pretty aware, like we are, getting better and better every day. But we need to listen to our blink, and we need to put things in mind and keep things in mind. So when I got the message from the gentleman, he said, check this out. I thought, well, you know what? Maybe I should check it out because something just didn't feel quite right. Now, as I shared with you, El is a generic name for the inexpressible ones of the Bible, who the art is formerly known as the Elohim. The art is formerly known as the Elohim, now known as the inexpressible ones. And El is a generic name, and as applied to the Elohim, no big deal. However, the term El is also applied to many other of the old gods. Okay, and that becomes an issue because many of those other old gods, they were rat bastards themselves. Now, they weren't the rat bastard. There's only one rat bastard, and that's the Lord, Yahweh, Jehovah, Yaldabaoth Marduk, rat bastard. But they were rat bastards in their own right because they were blood gods. And they were associated with blood. They were associated with sacrifice. They were associated with, yucky stuff. Like this is El from Megiddo. He was very much less than a good guy. But you can see here, El means it refers to God or deity. Many of the pro-Semitic, archaic gods. Many of the Canaanite gods. And remember the Canaanites, they did some crazy stuff along the way. So El was both a generic word for any god and the special name or title of a particular god who is being distinguished from the other gods as being the god. You can see why Rat Bastard has grabbed onto it because he likes the idea of being the god. So you get many of these gods that weren't really good guys, and the Egyptian god Ptah, Gath, Lachish. You've got gods of the Amorites, Dagon, Hadad. You got gods of the Levant, Yam, Mot, Zeus, Poseidon, Hades. And some of the, the bull god. You've got some of these gods who were not really kind of entities that you want to be giving power to, and they're not the kind of entities you want to be evoking. And my concern is that by using Elohim, we are giving some power to those gods of old. If you never saw the movie, and I wish I could use little clips, but I'm afraid of getting copyright strikes. So I would love to have that clip where the devil guy in there is talking to that chick from the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and she's playing Michael, the Michael, the androgynous, in that case, angel, and she's calling him son of perdition, great red dragon. And he sits over and he's like, I do love the old names. And I don't want to invoke those old names. I don't want to give power to those old names. So that's a concern. And it actually goes deeper than that even. I don't want to give power to any of those rat bastards. I don't want to invoke any of those rat bastards. I don't want to invoke or give energy to any of those old blood gods. And as we know, words have power, and I'm sure your intention may override it, but if that word goes out that used to activate that one spirit, or that spirit used to grab energy from it, why take the chance when Elohim is just a placeholder word anyway? That's what I'm suggesting, and I'm open to feedback on this. And this is where it really gets kind of whoa. El was also expressly recognized as Saturn, and his son as Jupiter. I just saw that here. Where did I just see that? It's in the Wikipedia under El deity, talking about the bull god, and we know about the bull god. Baal, Dagon. It's right in here somewhere, I promise you, folks. But again, I'm still trying to get adjusted to my... Yeah, you probably said, oh, there it is. Okay, El was the father of heaven, or Saturn, and Hadad was the father of Earth, Jupiter, and they both wore bull horns. Not bull horns, but bull horns. So El was symbolized with Saturn very heavily, and Jupiter. And there's some very questionable imagery and power and stuff going on with Saturn and the cube, and we're going to move into that probably tomorrow. So it just seems to me that there's a lot of reasons to consider whether the use of a placeholder word is worth the risk of giving energy, energetic essence, or of invoking some rather dastardly, unbalanced characters. The Saturn connection, to me personally, is especially troubling. Saturn connection to me is especially troubling because of all of the dark stuff that is swirling around Saturn. But I didn't really mean and catch that until I started to say it. But pun wasn't intended, but was intended. So that Saturn connection, we should be mindful of it. We should think about that. We should consider that. Not to mention this. You know, this is deep stuff, and sometimes people say, Jeff, what are you doing? But this is really, this is the next layer. Elohim, El of him, God of him, God of whom? Ringed circle, the rings of Saturn, the planet in the middle, the rings around it. Elohim, El of him, O being the rings of Saturn, the God of Saturn. And I don't want to be invoking him. So I wonder, yeah, I don't want to be invoking him. That's me. I'm suggesting this to you. I'm laying this out for your consideration. So what do I say? I say hello again, inexpressible one. Hello again, inexpressible ones. And the reason that I'm here is because, again, this is just a placeholder word. It's really just it's not a proper noun. It's just a noun. Glass, pen, magazine, book. You know, it's not about the Broadcast Supply Worldwide book. It's just a magazine, right? Elohim it just means male and female goddesses, plural. And this has been a Christian Whistleblower revelation. Something just didn't feel right. Even though it is a generic name, it's also been applied personally to many of the old gods. And some of those old gods were rat bastards themselves, and I don't want to risk invoking or giving energetic power to any of those old blood rat bastard gods. And El was also expressly recognized as Saturn, and his son is Jupiter. And that Saturn connection to me especially is troubling. Not to mention this, Elohim, El of him, O being the rings of Saturn, God of Saturn. I don't want to be invoking him. That's me. That's my personal belief. And it's why would I want to be invoking him or take the chance of invoking him or give him even a shred of energy just by using a throwaway placeholder word? Seems intellectually lazy to me. That's just me. So hello again, inexpressible ones. And I have no problem saying, in the beginning, the inexpressible ones created the heaven and the earth. The Christ was an inexpressible one who manifests himself in human form. And I will give thanks to the inexpressible ones. I will give props to the inexpressible ones. They don't want my worship. They don't want my prayers. I mean, they are there to hear if I really need them. And if I got in a crisis and thought I needed some divine assistance, I would call on the inexpressible ones. And I feel good saying inexpressible ones. It don't feel dirty, you know, and not in a good way dirty, but just dirt between your teeth. Nobody likes that. So anyway, that's where I'm at. So long. So long to these guys. And hello to the inexpressible ones. That just feels right. My blink says, yeah, you got it. What does your mind say? What does your blink say? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Let me know. I think you like it. I think you like it a lot. And I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower, here to help you unindoctrinate yourself and here to help you unwind your mind and here to help us as we progress towards those inexpressible ones. Jeffrey Daugherty, Christian Whistleblower. Unindoctrinate yourself.